Greetings and salutations. I am Crom the Pale, and this is Guild Wars 2 Wealth Building 101 Guide for New Players. Kind of few points right off the top. This is for new players, but it is expected that you own the Heart of Thorns. The reason for that is I don't really believe people on the free accounts need wealth. Everything that you can do on the free accounts is basically does not require wealth building. You can still use this guide if you're on a free account, but because you're on a free account, there will be certain things that are locked and you will not have proper access to. Also, for veteran players, because this is designed for new players, I'm assuming everyone has 0 magic finds. So if you're on a 4-year-old account, you're probably going to have 200 to 400% magic find, and so your results are going to be substantially better. So be happy. Okay. Now, before we actually go into the wealth building, there's a couple other points I wanted to make. First one is before you do wealth building, you're going to need at least one character to level 80. And the reason for this isn't because you need a level 80 to do the farming, though it does make it much easier. A level 80 character means that you actually have put enough time into the game that you understand how the game works, you understand what parts of the game you enjoy, and you're going to be able to have a better idea of why you're building wealth. To that end, before you start building wealth, you should attempt to accomplish everything else the game has to offer that does not require wealth. This means complete your personal story, do some PvP and world versus world, attempt the dungeon story modes, do a Fractals levels 1 to 20, do a map clear, do a world boss, do some jumping puzzles, do some achievements, the Slayer achievements, well, there's all kinds of different achievements that you can check out and have some fun with. Try and do as much of the game as you can before you start building wealth. This will give you a better indicator of what character you're going to wind up using and what part of the game you're going to use it in. So if you find that you really fall in love with PvP and a thief, there's no point working towards building wealth for the legendary Warhammer because you're never going to use a hammer on a thief. So you really got to know what you're doing in the game before you start building wealth. It'll also help decide why you're building wealth. So that being said, there's a few different ways to build wealth. The first method I like is resource gathering. This is a zero risk method. It has a good reward, but the reward is generally based on the time you invest in it. Now, by resource gathering, I'm referring to nodes such as the iron ore here and the fur sapling here. By getting these particular resources, you can farm them on the map. In other words, you can run around the entire map gathering them. You can then sell them on the Black Lion trading post. As long as I know where I'm going. Don't mind me if I get lost on a map. Resource farming is very, very good, but it is time restrictive. In other words, you're going to have to spend a lot of time to get a small reward. However, it's very popular. A lot of people do it because the demand for these items is constant and very, very rarely diminishes. So if I turn around and sell these 3 iron I just mined, I'm going to get 6 silver. Now, the mining pick needed for iron ore costs a few copper. So you're going to see a return on investment. You're never going to buy mining tools and then run out or and lose money doing that. Now, other way of generating resources, there are things like the topazes and that you will get randomly from mining. Let's see, I want to go. Nothing ever goes exactly according to plan. That's just the way things happen. There are other resources you can acquire, and the easiest way to look at them is to go to a bank. And of course, I didn't jump to the right spot. There. Bear with me. I'm trying to make this a quick video, in which case it's probably going to be a couple hours long, because I am very verbose and I'm horrible at planning these things out. So anyway, here we go. Going to the bank and going to my material storage. So common crafting materials, mainly the metals and the woods, are what you're going to get by gathering around maps. Now you can also acquire what are called fine crafting materials from monster drops. Some of them are very, very valuable. In other words, these T6 bloods, the piles of crystalline dust, these are very valuable, but they are very rare drops. The same can be said for rare crafting materials. They're obviously very rare. However, an advantage with the rare crafting materials is you can get them as map rewards for completing map events. So if we jump back to Dreadhawk Cliffs here, I know, I'm taking forever to say something that's so simple and easy. Now when I zoom out to the map, you'll see here, it gives me a list of map bonuses. These map bonuses are things that I will get rewarded by completing events on this map. So on this particular map, I'm going to get charged shards, charged fragments, shiny baubles, cotton scraps. And it tells you the next reward I'm going to get is linen scrap. Now, if I jump to a higher level map, you can see here I'm going to get a charged lodestone. Okay, here, crystal lodestones, hardened clay, so hardened fabric, giant eyes. They're actually worth almost a gold. So you can get a lot of money by farming these maps. The second method for generating wealth that I like to talk about is dungeons. Dungeons like Crucible of Eternity, you've got the Ascalon Catacombs, you've got Citadel of Flame. Okay, there's all these dungeons. They have explorable paths. When you perform an explorable path, it takes a party of 5 people, and at the end of it, you're going to get a solid reward that's either going to be between 50 silver and 1 gold, depending on which dungeon path you are in. Obviously, the higher ones, the longer they take, the more the reward is, but it may be more beneficial for you time-wise to complete the easier ones with a shorter duration. For example, Ascalon Catacombs, you're going to get about 50 to 65 silver for completing it, not counting all the loot drops, and it's only going to take you about 15 to 20 minutes per path once you and your party have some experience doing that. The downside is, you're going to have to find a party, and while that's much easier now that we have our wonderful LFG tool, it can still be time consuming because the dungeons aren't quite as popular as they used to be, but almost all the dungeons generally have somebody doing them. The most popular dungeons, Citadel of Flame, usually you'll find a party pretty quickly on. A benefit again for doing the dungeons, of course, is you get dungeon tokens as well as the gold reward. And dungeon tokens are a great way to outfit secondary characters with exotic level 80 weapons and armor. They're also nice and unique skins, each one tied to each dungeon. However, each dungeon only has a limited set of stats available. So if you want berserker stats, there's only one dungeon that's likely going to give you them. Now the next thing we're going to look at is doing map chain events. Map chain events are events that happen on maps such as the Silver Waste and all of the Heart and Lagoon maps. So you've got Auric Basin, Verdant Brink, let's go over, Dragon Stand, and Tangled Depths. We're going to go and take a look though at Silver Waste. The idea with a map chain event is a series of events that are chained together on a single map that will end with a large scale event, something similar to a map, a world boss. So once you get onto the map, you're going to run around and look for the events. On the Silver Waste, they're usually pretty easy. All the forts are highlighted. You have to go there. And the events will appear here. You don't have to go to the forts for them. The events take place just about everywhere. As you participate in the events on each of these maps, you're going to get a map-specific reward as well as generating wealth from pure gold and loot drops. The map-specific rewards are another way of generating wealth. They will allow you to either purchase items or to open chests that are found throughout the map. On this particular map, the map rewards will allow you to unlock or uncover buried chests, which you then can open with keys. It looks like this particular map is not doing too well. So, aside from the map chain events, you're also going to look at fractals. Now, fractals are a series of dungeons that are found in Lion's Arch. Fractals 1 to 20 can be done by anyone with a level 80 character. You don't have to have any special gear for it. However, to get rewards from Fractals, you need to increase your personal reward level. Your personal reward level goes up each time you complete a level that's higher than your personal reward level. So to get to level 20, you need to complete 20 Fractals that range from 1 to 20. If you simply complete level 20 20 times, you will, on your 20th attempt, get to level 20 rewards. Now, there are 100 levels of Fractals. Once you get above level 20, you start facing something called Agony. Now, Agony is a very powerful attack that enemies use that does a straight percentage damage to your character. It ignores armor, it can't be blocked, it can't be reduced by protection, resistance, nothing. And it will kill you very quickly if you have 0 protection against Agony. So the best thing to do is, if you want to farm Fractals, you're going to need to get invested in Ascended Armor to acquire things called Agony Infusions, which provide resistance from this attack. The wiki has a wonderful chart that tells you how much Agony resistance you need for the higher levels of Fractals and what percentage of damage will be mitigated by those characters. So that's definitely another way of generating wealth. However, you're going to find it's a very don't mind me. So if I jump in here, I should get hit by Agony. There you go. It killed me instantly because I don't have any Agony resistance on this character. So, in fact, it killed me twice. So the problem with doing Fractals for wealth is that you have to spend a great deal of time leveling up your personal reward for your character in order to actually start getting rewards at the higher levels. It is another 5-man dungeon, so you're going to need friends to do it. However, it is worthwhile if you want, if you enjoy Fractals, or if you really enjoy the rewards that come from Fractals, being ascended items, ascended weapons, and ascended armor. So that's the basics to generating wealth. I know it's kind of a haphazard, flip-flopping guide there, but if you basically focus on what you want, before you start building wealth, go to your bank, look at your wardrobe, and decide, if you're working towards a armor or a weapon, find the exact one you want. Then go to Wiki and research all the different ways of getting that particular item. You can actually acquire some items strictly through crafting. Some require rare drops. Some require to be crafted. Some you have to, purchase. The best way to find out, say if you want a weapon skin, is to go to your wardrobe, go to the bank, click on the wardrobe storage, and you can then preview every item in the game. So I just can click through every single sword in the game. There are a huge variety of swords in this game. I've yet to come across a sword that didn't look really good. Of course, saying that, I'm probably going to discover one. There you go. There's one I haven't worked towards unlocking. But there are tons and tons of swords in this game, and hundreds of other skins. Thousands, perhaps, when you count all the different armors. So make certain you identify what you're working towards. Don't build wealth for the sake of building wealth. You build wealth to acquire something that you actually need. Another thing you can build wealth for is quality of life items. Now, if you build a substantial amount of gold, you can go to the Black Lion Trading Post, and again, this is locked off for free players. And with a full live account, you can go here and you can change your gold into gems. You can then take those gems to the upgrades, and you can do things like storage expander, additional crafting license, bag slots, bank tabs. I highly recommend. You can get character slots. These are nodes for your home instances. You can pick up variety of different things with gems. These are mostly quality of life things. There's also, of course, skins, but A shared inventory slot can be very useful. It's a single inventory slot that all of your characters on your account can access. So that's the basics. Obviously, there's a lot more that goes into building wealth, but for new players, that's an idea that'll get you started on it. Make sure you identify what you're building towards. Don't spend money on anything that you don't need, and make certain that you actually experience as much of the game as you can before you get focused into building wealth. Another big hint I should say before I go, one that I should have said right off the top, when you do log in to play Guild Wars 2, spend half an hour to an hour playing the part of the game you enjoy the most before you start your wealth building runs. So jump into PvP, jump into a story mode, go to your guildies and do stuff. Make certain you have fun playing the game before you do the wealth building grind. And if you can, always try and get friends and guildies to come with you. Get on the voice chat with them, whether it be TeamSpeak, Raid Call, Mumble, Discord, doesn't matter. They're all wonderful. They all work. Lots of wonderful people out there that love to talk to you, and nothing makes the game more enjoyable than having somebody to play and talk with. So that's everything. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you find some benefit to it. Goodbye, and I shall see you in the game.